Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to fail out of nursing school and then become an author, a speaker, and a podcaster? Well, my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer, and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to equip healthcare professionals to be wealthy in all areas of our lives. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals, to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of the goals of Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. You can follow us on Twitter at The Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and please share this video. We have a group called The Nurse Nurturer on Facebook that you can join to receive uplifting content for healthcare professionals. Visit us at our website at vpnursing.com, and don't forget to hit the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income and leverage the knowledge that you already know as a nurse. Our special guest today is Priscilla Q Williams. So welcome, Priscilla. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. V, for having me.
I love it. I love that you put Q in there. Now tell me about that Q.
Yes, that's for my middle name, Kawana.
Cool.
And Kawana, yes.
Okay.
That's my middle name.
Now give us a brief bio of you and what was your primary reasoning for becoming a nurse?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Dr. V, I want to thank you for having me on your show. You are amazing, all the amazing work you're doing for nurses. So I want to first say that. So I always wanted to be a nurse, Dr. V. And I know that as children, we say all the time, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a lawyer, whatever. But I have always wanted to be a nurse since the third grade. And I can remember that so very clearly because my teacher would ask every student in the room, what do we want to be when we grew up? And I remember vividly saying a nurse. Now, I didn't have a nurse in my family. I didn't have someone that, I looked at and said, oh, I want to be a nurse like her. It was just something I know that it was a calling from God. I knew that this was something God had called me to do. And so all throughout grammar school, I told everyone I was going to be a nurse. All throughout high school, I told everyone I would be a nurse. When I got to college, I went to nursing school. And from there, and I'm sure we'll get more into that, I actually failed out of nursing school. And so that was devastating for someone who wanted to be a nurse since the third grade. So I always wanted nursing.
I love it. Now, give us a brief bio of you. Tell us all about you.
Yeah. So I am a registered nurse. I currently work as a nurse educator for a Fortune 500 biotechnology company. So I have worked in educating patients in the area of oncology. And currently now I work with patients who have pancreatic cancer. I am a nurse trainer, a district nurse trainer. So I also train other nurses within my company. Prior to that, I worked as a nurse liaison for Walgreens Corporation. I've been able to work in oncology at Northwestern University in downtown Chicago for most of my nursing career, giving chemotherapy. I've been able to work at Mayo Clinic, giving chemotherapy. I've been able to work with some of the top organizations, Dr. V, and it blows my mind when I talk about it because, as you just stated, I failed out of nursing school. Wow. And I believe all of that had to happen for me to get to this point in my life. And so now I have taken that nursing career, my expertise, into the marketplace. And so that goes into me being a podcaster, me being an author, a speaker, an international speaker. So I love what I do. I love nursing. I'm passionate about it, as you probably can see, but I also love pouring into people, pouring into other nurses, pouring into women. I'm a certified life coach. So yeah, I got a wealth of things that I do, and I'm excited about it.
I love how you, because typically what I do is I tell people, I say, I want you to really, really pump up yourself. Like, I want you to show us who you really are, right? And I love that I didn't have to say that to you, right? I love that you came in and you were like, this is who I am, right?
Mhm.
You didn't cower to who you are because you're amazing, right? As a nurse. And I love that. I love that I didn't even have to say that. And you were like, this is who I am. Yeah, I'm this, and this. I mean, I love it. Now, when you so this is a question that you've answered, but just kind of walk us through it. So when you first taught, you said that you failed out of nursing school. Which semester did you fail? How old were you, and how did that make you feel?
Yeah. So, Dr. V, I was actually about 24 years old. And so I started nursing from CNA and going into the nursing program. So I told you I always wanted to be a nurse. So I thought the best route would be to become a certified nursing assistant. And so in nursing school at the time, having a young child, newly diagnosed with diabetes and studying and just, Dr. V, nursing school is a lot, right? And I got to my senior year of the nursing program, and I remember getting those grades. I was in OB, and I was in OB, and I actually failed out. I got a B in the class, and that was my second class that I had failed. So I had failed OB and I had failed Med Surge. And so you can only fail 2 courses within the program. And so I had to sit out an entire year. It made me feel terrible. Dr. V, I can remember vividly collapsing in the school hallway. All of my classmates were running up like, "Are you okay? You okay?" And I can remember in the distance hearing my other nursing students say, "She must have failed. She must have failed." And so I was so devastated. I couldn't even drive myself home, Dr. V. I remember calling a friend, called my mom. I couldn't even call my mom. I was living with my mom at the time. Like I said, my son newly diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 3. And my mom called my now husband. He was my boyfriend then. We were dating. And she asked him to come pick me up, and he had to literally drive me home. And I was so defeated. I felt so crushed. And I just felt like, God, I wanted this so bad. I studied. I did all that I knew how to do, what to do. I did everything I knew to do, but it just didn't happen that way. But I believe again that was all a part of God's plan, because he had a bigger purpose for my life. And let me tell you, Dr. V, I appreciate my nursing license and my nursing degree so much.
Let me tell you. No, that's real.
Yes. So I don't play games when it comes to my nursing license or my nursing career. I take it very, very seriously because I've worked so hard to get here. So after being out of the program about a year, petitioning to get back into the program with the president of the college, I remember him saying, "Well, you should have withdrew from the class if you thought you were going to fail." And I said, "Well, I didn't think I was going to fail." And I remember leaving out of his office so defeated. And so that was on a Friday, Dr. V. By Monday, that president's secretary called me back, and he said, "I want to give you another chance. I'm going to allow you to come back into the program." And so I came back into the program, repeated that class, passed with flying colors, went on the state boards, passed that with, the first time. And so I'm just so grateful and thankful that he gave me another chance. But I knew this was all a part of my purpose, all a part of my plan. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It is hard, and learning what type of learner. And I think that whenever you get into nursing school, everybody is, not really, everybody, you think everybody is smarter than you are. Okay. And you think that because I kind of failed out too. I mean, I got to at that time, I've been a nurse forever. And so at that time, you could go through and get your LPN. And so I couldn't advance to my RN degree. So I was an LPN for about 10 years. And so those types of things, you just feel like you're not as smart as everyone else. And at high school, I was like, wait a minute, I was decently smart. What's going on here? Right. But nursing school is a whole different ballgame. It's very, very different. I mean, you got 4 answers, all of them right. You just got to pick the best one that's right.
Yes.
What? Anyway, so what were some of the steps that you had? You told us about that. So what are some of the lessons that you learned about yourself when you failed forward?
Yeah. So Dr. V, now looking back, I think that one of the biggest lessons I learned is that delay is not denied.
Ah,
And so, yeah.
let's
So,
say that again.
and so even though I was delayed in that season, and so I was planning for, graduation, and I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm going to work at this hospital, and I'm going to make this much money. I began to realize that even though there's delay in the process, that doesn't mean that you're denied. And so I've learned over the years that, and with anything, that, even if you're delayed in the process and you have setbacks and you have failures, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get to the end goal. And so being able to look back now, it's like, wow, I just know that delay does not mean denial. You can still make it to the end goal, even if you're delayed 1 year, 2 years. It doesn't matter, 10 years. If you have a goal, that God has called you to do something, then you have to keep going till you reach that goal.
Race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to those who endure to the end. I love it. Now, you are an author. Can you tell us about your book and give us some highlights of what your book is about?
Yeah. So I wrote a book and released it in the pandemic this year, 2020. Faith, Purpose, Pursuit. Three things that God wants you to do to live the life you're created to live. And so I wrote this book because I wanted to encourage not just nurses, but to encourage people across all walks of life that we have to have faith. We have to truly exercise our faith with anything that we're doing in life, especially during this pandemic, right? And then our purpose. Our purpose is the thing that God has created us for. And so our purpose is so much bigger than us. It's about those people we're called to impact. And then the pursuit of things of God. I wanted to just share with people my story and share about, different things I've been through and how I continue to pursue those things, even in the midst of trials and tribulations and failures and so many other things. So this book is really designed to help people to truly exercise those three things: faith, purpose, and to pursue the things of God.
And that's super important, especially during this pandemic, because sometimes, we just get stuck in that monotonous every day, right? And it is tough. And you doing this in the midst of this pandemic and pouring back into, not just the healthcare community, but everyone is super important. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Now you are a speaker and a podcaster as well. Kudos. I mean, look at you doing it all. I love it. Now, why did you decide to take this non-traditional role as a nurse?
Yeah. So to be honest, Dr. V, is really about sharing my story, because everything I've been through in life, from failing out of nursing school to so many other things in life, I wanted to share that because it's bigger than me. As I talked about, things we've been through, it's so much bigger than us. And so people can learn from our stories, our trials. And so me speaking actually started with me just going, speaking at church, and then friends would invite me to their conferences and things like that. And then the podcasting piece actually came in because I was able to just find out, how can I contribute to my fellow nursing colleagues during this pandemic. And so I said, I'm not on the front lines because, of course, I just mentioned I work for a biotech company, so I'm not at the bedside of the patient, but I still interact with patients and I coach nurses and so forth. So I wanted to do something. And so prayer, what better way than to pray, right?
That's
So
right.
I started the Nurse Prayer Podcast, and it really took on a life of its own, Dr. V. And so that speaking and the podcast, it kind of all goes together. And so just being able to encourage nurses with the power of prayer during this pandemic, encouraging them, because, nurses are scared as well. We don't want to give our families, COVID. We want to be safe. We want to be well. There's so many nurses that lost their lives in the middle of this pandemic, healthcare professionals in general. So I just wanted to be able to do my part and share the power of prayer. There's nothing more powerful than prayer. So I wanted to be able to share that with others.
And that's huge. I remember one person, several people actually said that, this is what you signed up for. Well, no, I didn't sign up to die. That's not what I signed up for. I signed up to take care of patients, right? And all those infectious disease processes, we didn't know that we would come into contact. But the reality is that I'm super I'm super excited that you have done this for nurses, because the reality is that we've got to pour back into our healthcare field. Period. We have
Yeah.
got to, because we have come the way, so we've got to pour back into those who are just starting the way. So now
Yeah.
tell me an inspirational story other than the one above, because that one is phenomenal, where faith has played a big part in your life.
Yeah. So my whole life is built pretty much on faith. I mean, even those times when I didn't think I had the faith. Like I'm just like, oh my God, woe is me, and I'm in this rut. And believe it or not, that's when our faith really has to kick in, right? We have to exercise that faith muscle. And so one of the things, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I currently live here in Florida. And so one of the things is that 3 years ago, me and my husband decided to pack up, move here to Florida, sunny Florida, which we love. But we left all of our friends, our family. And so that was a real faith move. And so I was working for a major technology company, the same company I work for now, actually, Dr. B. I actually stepped out on faith, quit my job, didn't have a job lined up here in Florida, didn't know what I was going to do, didn't know anything. All I knew was I had to trust God, what he was calling me and my husband to do. And so I trusted him. I stepped out. And when I got here, I actually started working at Mayo Clinic. They called me. I did a contract with them giving chemotherapy, not knowing that that would set me up for where I am now. The company that I quit back in Chicago, they called me a year later, and that's a whole nother story. We'll have to, that's a whole nother story, but they called me a whole year later to come and start up a new oncology program, nurse educator program, for the exact same company that I quit back in Chicago. Now, Dr. Faith, real quick, I'm sorry, Dr. B, real quick, I have to share that when I filled out I saw the job posting at my old job, right? And I saw I was back in Chicago. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I just moved here to Florida. I'm not going to move back to Chicago for this job. But I heard the Lord say to apply anyway. And so I didn't even tell my husband. I didn't tell nobody. I just applied. My husband happened to come home from work this day, and he said, Priscilla, I saw that the company, they're looking for a nurse educator for oncology. I think you should apply. And I said, do you see where the job is? And he said, yeah, it's in Chicago. And I'm thinking, yeah, but we live here in Florida. And then he didn't know that I applied, though, Dr. V. I had already applied, and I'm thinking, how did he know I applied? And so they called, long story short, I was going to have to travel from Florida to Chicago once a week, back and forth for this job. And I was willing to do that, right? Because I love nurse education. I love the company that I work for. I love what they stood for. And believe it or not, when we get to the end of the training, so because I had to be trained on the newest oncology drug that we would be educating on, all of that stuff. When we get to the end of the training, our actual training program was put on hold, and they said, oh, you'll be working from home for right now. So it was only supposed to be for a few weeks. Why did that turn out long term? So I never had to fly back and forth to Chicago for the job. I was able to work here in Florida, but my job is in Chicago. And I say all of that to say I quit 3 years ago, not knowing how all of this will line up, how all of this will work. But God knew, he knew the whole picture. And when I think about it today, I'm thinking, oh, wow, look at God, how he works.
He will work that thing out. The how is none of our business.
Yes.
We have the goal. How we get there, God will work that thing out. He will open door after door after door after door. And when he opens them doors, oh my God, I love that. Love that. Now, what is the one thing that you think that every leader should possess based on the low morale of most nurses that they are feeling today?
Yeah. So I think that with everything going on, when we look at the pandemic, we look at the racial tension, we look at everything that's going on around us. I think the biggest thing is nurses having intentionality. And the reason I say that is because we have to be intentional about protecting our peace. We have to be intentional about pouring and filling ourselves back up, because we're constantly pouring out to our patients and family and friends. We have to be intentional about how we start our day, right? How we move about our day. We have to be intentional about who we speak to, who we spend our time with. These things are important because if we spend our time with the wrong people, that can really just like blow your day, right? If you spend your time looking at the news all day, looking at all of the numbers, looking at all of the deaths, that can become stressful and strained. We have to, again, being intentional about protecting our peace. And so peace is what we need more now than ever.
Mhm.
And so, have you ever been on a phone or a call with someone and they're all frazzled and they're all stressed out, and then you find yourself all stressed out and frazzled after getting off the phone with them, right? So we have to be intentional about that. And so now more than ever, nurses have to be intentional about their life outside of the nursing setting. And so doing the things that they need to do to be able to fill themselves back up so they can be have better lives, have better family lives, and also to be a better nurse to their patients.
I love how when we first talked, because I had another call that was scheduled and it was in a conflict, and you were like, "Well, you can just go on to that call." And I was like, "No, I'm talking to you." I mean, you have literally through this process have been so super easy to connect with, right? And I love that. I love that how you are, and it is super important, yes, that we protect our peace. It is hugely important. That 75 days. So I just went on a 75-day challenge, and I was during the time of the pandemic. I mean, during the time of the election season, I wasn't watching TV, and I was like, "Thank you, Lord." Okay, I got time for that foolishness. Okay, now how do you define success?
Dr. V, I think success look different for everybody. I think really when you think about success, it's really being able to accomplish those things that you said you would do. And so, whatever that thing is, whether it's, getting your degree, whether it's, working in a certain field of nursing, whether it's making a certain amount of money, I mean, it looks different for everyone. So, I think success is just really doing those things that you said you would do, getting to that goal, getting to that end mark, celebrating the small successes along the way, because the reality is we may not get right to the goal, as we just talked about. Delay is not denial, but celebrate along the way those things you have been able to accomplish. So I think success does look different for everyone, but as long as you can get to that end goal, then you've reached the mark. You're there.
That's right. I love it. So now, how do you define wealth?
Wealth. Well, I think wealth is a state of mind. I also think that wealth is not only just wealth in our bank accounts, but wealth in our health, wealth in our mindset, wealth in every aspect of our life. Now, we do want to have a certain amount of income as well, because we know that we can't live without money, right?
Right.
So we do want to have that sustainable, that tangible wealth, but we
Right.
also want to have that spiritual wealth, and we also want to have that mental wealth. And so it all starts here in the mind. And so there are some people who may not have a full bank account, they may not have millions pouring out their bank account, but as a great mentor told me, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, wealth all starts in the mind. And so once you reached it in mind, then you'll reach it in reality. And so I think that that's the first thing, knowing that you're wealthy here first, and then hey, it's just a done deal after that. So yeah.
I love how, as as I went on this journey, you spoke about Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. I love how, those names of those people who are effective, right? They continually come up, right? They continually come up, and they're continually being expounded upon. And that's what can happen whenever you live your life on purpose, like you are doing, Priscilla, right? You, your name will continually come up in those conversations. They'd be like, "Well, Priscilla Q. Williams, right?" Because I know there are a lot of Priscillas out there, a lot of Priscilla
Yeah.
Williams, right? But
Right.
not just any Priscilla, Priscilla Q. Williams, okay?
Yeah.
RN, a podcaster, speaker, yes.
Yeah.
So now, where can someone find your books and your podcast?
Yeah. So my book is Amazon.com. It's in BarnesandNobles.com. And then my podcast is on all of the major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, and you will be able to listen to the episodes. Again, it's all just about empowering others to live the life that God truly designed for us to live, Dr. V. And what I've known more now than ever, this is the time to really go after the things of God. And so this pandemic has shown us that, that things can come and go, right? Everything is shut down in a moment. But one thing that we always will have is the things that God has called us to do. And if we're still here after this pandemic, then we still got work to do.
Right. That's right. And I think that's one of the things that we have to know, that as long as you're still here, like you said, you have work to do. And that work is phenomenal. It's way beyond you. It's your self-actualization moment. And being clear on that is huge. So I thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up today because you have been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to equip healthcare professionals to be wealthy in all areas of their lives. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals and to show up exceptional on a daily basis. Know that one of the goals of Morning Infusion with Dr. V is to expose you to leaders such as Priscilla Q Williams that have overcome so that you can know that the possibilities are endless. You can follow us on Twitter at The Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and please share this video. We have a group called The Nurse Nurturer on Facebook that you can join to receive uplifting content for healthcare professionals. Visit us at our website at vpnursing.com. And don't forget to hit the calendar link above if you want to create another stream of income and leverage the knowledge that you already know as a nurse. You guys have a wonderful day.